We thought we'd break away from our normal stuff today, seeing how me and my brother both have family in Venezuela and we lived there for quite a bit of time. We see a lot on the news, and people are always coming up to me the past couple of weeks asking me my take on what's going on and how I feel or what my family is saying down there. I'm just going to roll this little clip here. A lot of people are thinking that the Venezuelan people are mad or stuff like that, and I personally don't believe that, and from what I've heard and what I've seen, but here's a little clip of them celebrating and having a good time, I guess. It don't look to me like everybody's really mad about what happened or how Maduro got captured on the 3rd or whatnot. Saying liberty on his forehead there. This guy right here is saying, finally, Venezuela used to be beautiful. I lived there from 95 to 98. I was there in the 80s when I was little. Our dad came up and went to school where he met my mom in Louisiana. Me and my brother were born. And we lived down there, like I said, and it was a beautiful, beautiful country. The people were happy. Everybody was in the streets dancing all the time. We could walk anywhere. We lived in a city called Maracay, in Palo Negro, in Peñonal, and it was awesome. I went to a school called Fe Alegria, and we had a really good time. The people were really nice. I used to go to the beaches. Me and my brother would go to a beach called Moracoy or Churoni with our dad, and it was awesome. Fast forward a little later in life, we came back in 98 and went to school, joined the military, did certain things, but I started working in oil, and in 2008, 10 years later, I got to go back to Venezuela. But at that time, it was not the Venezuela that I knew. Chavez took office in 98, and it kind of, things went downhill from there. I mean, I went to Caracas. We'd fly into La Guaira, and went to Caracas, and it was like a city I've never seen. It wasn't the city I knew. There was graffiti everywhere. The people were living very differently than they were in the 90s, and things were going very downhill. Thievery and robbing and gangs and violence were at an all-time high. The value of the currency dropped ridiculously. When we lived there in the 90s, man, there was fresh food everywhere, groceries everywhere, and that just wasn't the case anymore. I'm gonna roll this video a little bit.
So you'll see this kind of stuff from a lot of Venezuelan communities around the world, them celebrating and parading and stuff like that because of the capture and what it means for the country. A lot of people don't really understand. We are no way, shape, or form condoning Trump's execution of how he went about things, but living down there and seeing the dramatic change from when we were down there to how it is now, or how it has been over the past 20 years, and the chaos that came about because of it and what happened to the people down there, we know this is a positive thing. As my brother said, we have our dad's whole side of the family that lives down there. And not only that, I was only down there a fraction of the time that my brother was, but having friends down there and people keep in contact with us. People had to flee the country for safety. Majority of our family went to Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Italy, because the state of the nation down there and all the things that were going on, they stopped taking currency in the regular, here's $20. It was done in pounds of cash. They would weigh the cash. Inflation was so high. That's any kind of food, eggs, anything. I tried my hardest to find this documentary I watched. It was about 5-6 years ago on Venezuela and everything that was going on down there, and how the people down there, they didn't have fresh meat, fresh produce. Everything was rotten and hard to obtain. People were in immense poverty down there because the government was taking the money and siphoning it off and not putting it back into the country, back into the people for them to thrive, for the country to thrive. And that's why so many people had to, exodus Venezuela to other places to survive. I've heard people say it's the modern day Wakanda down there because it's rich in oil, gold, minerals, all these things. So you would think that the country itself would be flourishing. Freaking Maduro was siphoning off the country's wealth, being a dictator. And I get why people are protesting Trump. It's, as you can see from this video, the people that actually live there are elated. They are so happy because the promise of a better tomorrow, to go back to their home, go back to everything they know and where they're from, is immense. You know,
the thing is everybody can speculate in the United States, but they don't understand really how bad it was. So I live in Kentucky right now, and the power went out here. We had an ice storm a couple of years ago. The power went out for 13 days. I mean, dude, we had road crews. I mean, hundreds of people from other states coming in to fix stuff, and people losing their mind because they lost water for a little bit. When I was down there from 2008, last time I was there was 2017, and I'd go almost every year because I work in oil refining. So I'd be in all the in Puerto La Cruz, and I'd be in Punto Fijo, and I'd be in all the different refineries down there, right? So the guys working there would always tell me, the contractors down there, we worked with a bunch of contractors, I mean, they would lose water for 2 or 3 weeks. They would lose electricity for, weeks on end, internet for weeks on end. They couldn't go anywhere. You got an engineer's average salary of $30 a month. I know personally oil engineers, petrol engineers that quit being engineers and were driving taxi on the side just so they can make ends meet. And that's all gone. When me and my brother lived there was plenty of food. We'd go barbecue. We'd go to the store and pick up meat. I mean, you think if Venezuela, you gotta understand, was #1 in Latin America in gold, in tourism, in oil, and Miss International, Miss World. They're in Guinness Book of World Records for back-to-back wins. You would think that country would be flourishing in wealth, but where did it all go? Why are all these refineries that are making so much? Where's that money going? I mean, just ask yourself, it's just common sense question. It's not even like, oh, well, this could happen, or this. Why don't they have the best military in Latin America, or why don't they have this tourism anymore? Venezuela became a port for exporting drugs. It became violent. The people were being oppressed. And that's why all these people are celebrating. Me and my brother used to be able to walk across the street. I know me and my friends would go literally 3 hours away on bus rides. And we're talking when we're 15 to 18 years old and not worry about it. We could go to the beach and pop a tent in Semana Santa and stay there for a week comfortably, safe, not very much money in our pockets because we could go to a panaderia and buy ham and cheese and make sandwiches and stuff. And it was awesome. I mean, a beautiful, beautiful country. And it's just the way it was after I went back in 2008 and on, it wasn't like that anymore. Chavez took office and everything changed. It really was sad. It really broke my heart to hear the stories from like all my friends. I got a cousin in the Air Force down there right now. Like Jeremy said, we still have family. Our grandma, our aunt still lives in Valencia, and it's really rough.
Her health, when I was talking to our cousin, he was saying that grandma couldn't flee the country because her health was so bad. Our aunt, her health was so bad. Our dad was there with him until he passed away. God rest his soul. He was there taking care of him. They were trying to piece together whatever they could as far as like a normal life goes in those circumstances. And it was incredibly hard, especially when I want to say 90% of your personal community has left to find safety.
And if people are asking like, why can't we help them, me and you? When you send money through the banks and they pulled the money out, they have it's like a national rate, and then they have a black market rate, and everything is bought and sold on the black market rate. So when I'd fly down there, I could only take so much cash with me and hand my family, and then that would help. But we legally couldn't just bring everybody here. It didn't work like that. And I know you can sponsor people and do things like that and bring them this way, which we brought our dad here, but he missed everybody else in his family. He wanted to go back and be there for his mom and our grandma and my aunt, his sister, so it's not as easy as everybody thinks is like traveling and doing and even getting visas to go work down there. And it was scary for me. There was a time, me and my brother both lived here our whole lives, except for the time I lived in Venezuela for 3 years. But they wanted to keep me there one time. They're like, oh, your name's this. You're not American. And I'm like, that's an American passport, homie. When I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army, so you're letting me go home. I don't care. Come hell or high water. We'll be calling the
Yeah,
embassy
right.
doing something. I'm getting on this plane one way or another. But
And also too, man, we don't support bringing people over here illegally. We
no,
might
not
have a
at
lot of
all. Yeah.
family, but we only support doing it the right way,
Oh,
going through
yeah,
the
for
proper
sure. For
channels,
sure.
doing everything to the T for legitimacy, because if you're not doing that, then you're doing a disservice to our country. We know what that looks like. A majority of people in the United States know what it looks like to have illegal people coming over and not doing it the right way. We see it in our taxes. We see it in jobs, things like that. And we've heard many arguments. I'm not going to go over too many of them, but I just want to state that, like,
You know, we
we
grew up in
do
California,
support.
so we've seen
Yeah.
firsthand what it's like to have a bunch of illegal people here working here and doing things the wrong way. You don't really get to pick and choose what laws you break. You know, the law is the law. I understand everywhere there's hardships, and I understand there's a lot of necessity around the world and bad things, and different people believe different things, and that's okay. We're not taking a political side on anything. It's just we thought we'd just
No.
quickly go over some of the points that we had. You know, it was such a beautiful country in the 90s when we were there. We were there when we were very
It
young,
it
back in
was
the early 80s, so I can't comment on that. But in the 90s, there was parties everywhere. There was ferias. We had a great time with our father while we were there, and we could go anywhere, do anything, money last. I worked with my dad with the tourists that would come in off the cruise ships, and all I had to do was speak English. So for me, that was easy. Take them around Caracas and tell them the history of Venezuela. So I'd make a couple dollars every week, and that was enough money to help out around the house and go to school and go party with my friends. So it was awesome. I came back when I was 18. Venezuela was awesome when I was there. And then going back in '08, it was just a completely different country. It was like a different world. The people were so different, and we got to see it firsthand. So all the speculation that I see all the marches here in the United States, like Trump is bad for what he did and all that stuff. And I'm not saying what he did was right, but there needed to be a change at whatever cost that may have been. The Venezuelan
something
people
needed to happen.
they couldn't do it themselves. They're
Well,
not,
he had the whole military. He
yeah.
had the military as his bodyguard. Like,
And guns
you can
they
go
don't
on
have the
YouTube
Second
and
Amendment there, you
find,
know,
yeah.
they don't have access to weapons to uprise or, you know,
As I was saying, you can go find footage of the Venezuelan people fighting against the military down there, not because they're trying to bring the country down, because they're trying to fight to live.
when you
The
don't have
president
food,
wasn't putting that money
water,
back into the country. Water.
yeah,
Well, when we
we're not
lived down
talking
there, you
about
remember
cars
we
and,
had the water bins on the
oh,
roofs
yeah.
and stuff, and it was still a million times better than how it was now. And, you know, it was still fragile.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that everywhere.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
grandma, she lived in a nice condo in Caracas, right?
She was in, it's called Los Teques. So my grandma worked
Los
for the
Teques.
mayor of Caracas till she retired. So, I mean, 20, 30 years she worked for the mayor, and
Yeah,
she
it
lived
wasn't
well.
like third world country stuff down
No,
there. I
not
would
at
say
all.
it was in between, like, how it is here and what you might think third world would be, but still have running water, electricity. It was in the middle for a lot of the outskirts areas. Like, as I said, where we lived, it wasn't drywall and things like that. It was using a bucket to flush the toilet at times, but still,
I remember the shower we had on the back patio. It was literally a rag and a cork and some like PVC piping. It almost looks like PEX piping. You know, we take a
I
shower
remember
out
taking
there.
cold ass showers.
Oh,
in that
yeah, we
bad
didn't have
boy.
a hot water heater. There was no air
No,
conditioning,
no.
no microwave. All the food
I
was
mean,
cooked
but that
fresh.
experience,
Yeah, it was
that
awesome.
experience will be with me forever.
It definitely humbles you.
Walking through the cities, going to the beaches, as you said, walking down to the panaderia in the morning to get fresh ham and cheese, and then stopping by the store to pick up other things, and then making arepas and stuff like that. Like,
Some empanadas with salsa de ajo. I miss that stuff. Well, these people are celebrating all over the world because they're, from the stories I've heard and from all our friends and from family around the world, they're thinking it's safe now to go back. They're thinking it's safe to go visit family that they haven't seen, go visit friends that they haven't seen. I mean, it's really sad that it all had to come to this just because of bad people in power. We can't change everything as much as everybody thinks. I mean, if we're in the United States and there was all this stuff about voting and all the conspiracy theories of all the wrongdoings and stuff, how do you think it is in a third world country where, you don't have all that stuff and the military is in power and you got a guy at the very top who's as corrupt as can be? How did the
Well,
country go to hell in a handbasket in 20 years? Just ask yourself that. How did it go from being way up here to all the way down there? Was it?
well, what wasn't it like 2, 3 years ago or something like that? Correct me if I'm wrong. They had the elections, and the president lost, but yet he somehow stayed in power. He
Well, yeah,
somehow retained
I think
his position.
Chavez, I think, changed the rule too, like the term rule, and extended it to where he could stay in power till he got sick and passed away and stuff. I mean,
Like
I'm
indefinitely, like
I'm not sure how long and stuff. Me and you aren't up on the whole political thing where we stay out of that kind of stuff as much as possible. But
I just make the statement to kind of paint the picture of what it looked like for the people down there as far as hope went. Like you have somebody that you're like, this person might change, and let's vote, let's do things the right way, let's get them in here to make the change we need. Then that change doesn't happen, especially when you do things the right way. Like, especially when you take ownership of your responsibility as a person from that place. Our system, yeah, the person we want for president might not win, but the system's in place. Like, everybody did their part. That's just the way it fell. The person you wanted did win, but the other side was like, nah, that don't count.
yeah,
You know,
it's
wild.
it's definitely wild, and I definitely like reading all the stories. Everybody down there right now is happy and scared. Everybody down there right now, inflation was soaring, the economy was collapsing. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
gas was cheap. Like, you could fill a car up cents on the dollar, but to buy a car that we'd get up here for like 15 grand new, 20 grand new or something like that, down there it'd be 50, 60, $70,000. Like, and who has that kind of money when you're making $30 a month? It's just,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to put no exact numbers on anything like that, but that's the reality, man. Is Venezuela, when we were there, phone was cheap, electricity was cheap, internet, stuff like that. But man, everything that is food, everything that is clothing, everything that is electronic, everything that is machinery, stuff like that, anything coming from outside of Venezuela, which is a lot, it was all just ridiculously priced. It's almost unobtainable. So everybody up here that speculates, and I see the marches they had and stuff, free Maduro, and I don't know. I don't see where this is a bad thing. As many people I talk to, I have not talked to one Venezuelan, not one friend, not one person I know is like, I'm mad that they captured Maduro. I'm mad that this is happening. Yeah. They are
and this is from people actually
live there.
Are there, right, that are trying to go back there.
This isn't a speculator.
Flee from there.
Yeah.
This isn't a post you read. This isn't something that you saw somewhere. This is a phone call we
me
had
talking to my homies down
2 months ago.
Mi panas, my friends, kids I grew up with. This is me talking to kids I went to school with. This is me talking to coworkers down there that I had for the past 10, 20 years. It's not one is mad. They're scared because they don't know which direction the country's going to go in, and but they know it couldn't keep going in the direction it was going in. So
yeah. One thing's for sure, though, man. Living down there for a brief time of my life, and then being up here, and then seeing what's going on down there, brings a lot of stuff in perspective. I'm very grateful for the life I have, for the country I live in, and what we have. Granted, it's not perfect. There's flaws, obviously, but you talk about poverty. You talk about the state of a country in potentially being like now a third world country.
Real quick, remember this. Our dad came here, and when my daughter was born, and he stayed for 4 months, the first time he walked into Costco in Sacramento, he cried. This is a 6'6.5" man. He literally cried because he couldn't believe how full the shelves were. Just to put it in perspective. I mean, that is nuts, man. he the things that we take for granted here. I mean, we know this. We know this living in the United
W-
States, oh, I ain't got the newest iPhone, or my car ain't got the rims I want, or I ain't wearing the brand new pair of Jordans and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't feel bad because we're allowed those things and I work hard for the things I do have, but I am very grateful for the stuff we
immensely
have.
grateful.
Yeah. I mean, we get the freedom to come on here and make a podcast or order some stuff off Amazon. The next day it's delivered. I mean, get on my
Well, I
computer,
mean,
flick the switch and my
on
lights come on, I mean, shit.
99% of the time I walk down the street to the store, I do not worry about getting
Robbed.
mugged,
Yeah.
robbed, anything along those lines. Somebody coming up and trying to take what I have because, oh, I just got some nice shoes on. And all
Oh,
they're
yeah.
wearing is flip flops, and all
Yeah.
they've been wearing for the past 4 years is flip flops and the same shorts and
Yeah.
the same two tank
And you
tops
guys can look up these
and
stories.
stuff like that.
They're on the internet. You go
Yeah,
find them.
everywhere.
People getting robbed with machetes for stupid stuff, for their shoes, for their
Yeah.
clothes. Because these people don't have it. They can't get it. People are fighting to live and eat. What would you do to feed your family if we didn't have food? I mean, there's no end to
A
it.
new pair of jeans is hundreds of dollars.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I know.
I mean it's just
But
god awful that it ever got to that point.
hopefully we can get some people from Venezuela to comment on here, and tell us how they feel and what they think.
And I myself, I do not speak Spanish. But my brother, he does speak Spanish. So if there's anyone out there that comments in Spanish, he will be able to answer things like that. I don't know how good you are at reading Spanish and
Me?
translating. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah, see. So,
See.
it's not my second language. I only speak English, but he's bilingual. So he can answer questions if anyone has any, or any statements, anything like that. We can acknowledge those and get back to you with that stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there so people know.
Well, thanks for checking out our podcast here. And I know it's a little different than our usual funny stuff we do, but we just want to talk to everybody and get that out there and give our point of view.